we going live. Every day, responsible self. We're the fighters. Well, good morning and welcome to My Help My Mississippi, where we are making sure that we focus on mind, body, and medicine. Thank you for being with us this morning on WMPR 90.1, where we're about to bring you some information that you can grab on the run, and it's going to be helpful to make a difference in your life for the rest of your life. So thank you for being with us as always on a Thursday morning, 7 a.m., where we are always claiming to be the best station in the nation that's providing you with helpful, healthy information. And we got the mighty Bishop Crudup with us this morning, so we're excited to have you here with us this morning, Bishop. So thank you for being here.
Oh, Charles, it is wonderful to be here this morning. And good morning to everybody out there in radio land listening to WMPR. It's an exciting day in Jackson, Mississippi.
It is indeed an exciting day in Jackson, Mississippi. So wherever you are, we want to be there. So we want to give a shout out to the people who are helping us to be where you are. I want to give a shout out to Tabernacle Ministry for helping to support this program. Thinking enough of My Help My Mississippi to say, you know what, they're doing a pretty good job over there. Let me help keep them people on the air. And you may be doing the same thing. So what we're going to do for you, if you want to support this great station and this great show, My Help My Mississippi, we're going to have some green juice for you that you can get. My Help My Mississippi. We get this green into your bloodstream, and it'll make a difference in your life for the rest of your life. I'm just here to tell you, hey, listen, I'm really excited this morning because my health journey started seriously at New Horizon Church International. So we have the founder of New Horizon Church International with us here this morning, who is not at all a stranger to change, because he's been changing. There have been changes in his life, what God has made, but he's been putting things in place for other people' lives to be changed. And I am a beneficiary of that for sure. And I'll tell you a little bit about my journey when I started, almost Bishop 25 years ago now.
Wow.
And I hadn't looked back, and I'm telling you, it just saved my life. And I want to get into that a little bit because we're embarking upon another fast that's coming up, and I definitely want to have that conversation because it's a movement in your life when you start fasting. It's a movement, and listen, y'all, we need these movements. I like to say, starting out, that high blood pressure is not mandatory. Type 2 diabetes is not mandatory. High cholesterol is not mandatory, but action is required. And sometimes, we have to make some difficult decision to make some change in our lives. Not saying it's easy, but it's profitable sometimes. And it's sometimes what God would have us to do. And so, Bishop, again, you're always changing. And I want to, we hear about it at New Horizon Church International. So first of all, again, thank you for being here. And I just want people to hear your story. You made some major decision, and it wasn't your decision. We all know that. Those of us who are part of the ministry there, we realize that if we follow you, we know you move when God moves. God tells you to move. But there's so many people out there that don't know you.
Right.
So bring us up on your story. I know you worked at a phone company. There were some changes in your life. You're probably us a little bored, but tell us a little bit about it. Let the people know who you are.
Yeah. Well, once again, Charles, thank you so much for the privilege to be here with you on your program this morning. And again, good morning to everybody out there. It's great to be back on air here at WMPR. I've been here over the years, done all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of things. In fact, that was a time when I was on air here
Yeah.
at WMPR. So it's always a joy to be here, and particularly with you, brother. Just thank you for who you are and what you do, and the change maker that you are. Because I'm here to talk about change, which is something that I'm always excited to talk about because the only inevitable thing in life is change.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we're going to change. All of us are going to change. You can't stay the
The
same.
same. Yes.
God has so made it that that you're going to change because we like to say it all the time. Time makes a change,
Yes.
and so all of us are going to change. And so we can change with the times.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually. Um, operate in such a way where we take advantage of the times and all of these things that brings about change, or we can be to some degree a victim of time.
Yes.
And so hopefully folks will make a decision to uh, uh, grab this one, to become powerful, to
Mm.
empower themselves to make change, because power is the ability to make change.
Mm.
And so people who change things are people who are powerful, and all of us can be more powerful than we have been. And it just really comes down to a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And always, in my case, with God's help, we say it all the time,
Right.
you can do anything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can change your circumstances. Um, and so it's good to be here to talk about that. Well, let me start with kind of the present circumstance, and then I'll kind of digress and
Sure.
go back to what has brought me to this place. Uh, I'm. It's amazing since this past Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Uh, how many people have come up to me and said, "Congratulations! Oh, I'm so happy for you that you have retired." I said, "Somebody's put a wrong word in terms of media because I have not retired. I have transitioned. So actually, I've moved over to a different position than I was in, but I have not retired. And because you said it this way, I'm a servant of God.
Mm-hmm.
I am I am His slave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I'm a slave of Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and I do what He said to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been bought with a price. I'm not my own.
Mm-hmm.
I glorify Him, and He brought me to this place. He brought me into ministry, and He told me a number of years ago that I would make this transition, and I've come to that time to make it. And so, because a lot of folks don't have the right vocabulary for things, particularly when you're doing something a little bit different
Right.
than which is the norm, then they always define it according to what is kind of customary.
Right.
And so people think I have retired. No, no, I've
Mm-hmm.
transitioned. I've retreaded.
Yeah.
Somebody used that language, which means that I moved over. So God told me this, and this is one of those God words to me. Is He said, it's time for you to give up the senior pastor position, and just be bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Just do bishopric work. And so that is what I'm doing. I informed the leadership of New Horizon about this. Actually, we kind of been in this transition for a number of years now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit longer than even we had planned to be. But it's finally come to pass, and I'm excited that I had the privilege of appointing. And of course, that appointment was agreed upon by the elders of the church and our church polity that have the power for these things. And so we made Henry Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
the senior pastor of New Horizon Church International. Henry carries the bishop's title, not because we call everybody who's a pastor a
Right.
bishop, but because Henry actually was made a bishop through our organization, the Fellowship of International Churches, a number of years ago, particularly when he was in Africa. He was prolific in Africa and pastored in Malawi, pastored in South Africa, and did just all kind of work in Africa and Asia. And our denominational group actually made him a bishop. And so eventually he came back to the United States and came back home to New Horizon. And in this transition, then we decided he was the guy, the next guy up. And so he's now the senior pastor of New Horizon Church as of Sunday evening.
Right.
And so I'm doing something else. I'm just doing bishop work. I want to say this too, particularly for folks that know that New Horizon and Henry pastors the New Horizon Ellis Avenue location. New Horizon also has a Rankin County location. I'm still overseeing that location at this point.
Right.
I will eventually appoint a pastor there. Until then, I am covering that congregation. I've got staff and other folks who help me over there. And so for folks who are in the Rankin County area, are people who still want to do some things with me, hey, come to Rankin, okay? Right. So we're over on at 3097 Flowood Drive, almost at the corner of Flowood Drive and Airport Road. You'll see the church building there. It's got a cemetery next to it, so it's kind of hard to miss there. But the beautiful place, and that service is every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. And so come check us out.
So like you appointed Henry, Bishop Henry there, and I could see when you were telling us the road that he was taking, of course, ordained by God, going to Africa, almost preparing himself, not knowing, right, that he would be the senior pastor. So people are still being fed. You're changing lanes, you're transitioning, and you're still pastoring or helping out over in the Rankin County area with the intention of even putting someone there. So your life is all about change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My identity is not tied up in that one position. And this is good for other preachers to hear.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not easy. People get conditioned in positions and they die in those, and they feel like I got to die in those positions. Yeah. And God, I think, it's not pleased because you can't be you just because you. How many I applaud you because you're the founder of New Horizon Church International, and to say I'm not going to be, the main person that's preaching God's word there because God got something bigger for you. Most people just try and hold on to what they found. I found in this. Now, who else gonna do it?
Oh yeah, well, a lot of people have struggled with that. Members of New Horizon have struggled with that. People who've been with me, however long it's been, some from the very beginning, and even some, fairly recent. People struggle with that. Some of my family members struggle with that because typically you don't see pastors, ministers who are still kind of in the prime of their life. I still consider myself. I'm 72, but I'm in pretty good shape, and I like to tell folk I'm gonna live to be at least 100. So, I got a lot more life to live, and I'm vibrant. And all that, and kind of like you. I exercise all the time. I run. I do all these things. And so I'm not infirmed. And so typically when we see somebody who gives this up, it's because their health, dictates it. Their age at that point dictates it.
They have to.
They have to.
Chose.
Right. Yeah. But, the Lord told me to do it in a nice way. He said, choose to do this. Okay. While you're still vibrant, while you can still do something else. And so it's been put into good hands.
Yes.
Okay. I agree with it. Once again, I want to say to people, nobody's pushing me out. Hey, I could still be there.
Right.
Some folks would be real happy probably, but
right.
I'm still there. But hey, it's in good hands. I know it's going to be taken care of. And by the way, nobody owns the church. The church is not anybody's personal business. It's God's business. Okay. And the Lord dealt with me that a long time ago. He said, listen, I moved you to quote, found New Horizon Church, but um, can you get to the place where the next pastor, the last name is not Crudup? And so I had to struggle with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
but we worked through that, and so I'm pleased about that. But Charles Lloyd also told me this too, and this is good for other people. He says, other things that I have for you, I will not be able to do them for you until you move from where you are.
Mm.
And so, the condition for greatness is sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
All right. And so I've seen that way too many times in my life,
Mm-hmm.
that you gotta sacrifice, something to move to the next level. And so for me, there are other things that I said that I already do, ascribe to do,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'll not get to that real full place without the sacrifice.
That's a big one there, Bishop, because as you know, this is my Help My Mississippi. So we're always trying to bring information to people that can help the community. And absolutely, you've been one of those change makers in the community. And I always say, feed your body, feed your mind. You need to do it all the time. And listen, guys, if you're listening now, we're feeding your mind. Change is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to embrace it now. Even when we're talking about food, because this is not easy to make changes.
No, it's not easy.
And so it's easy to stay put.
Well, it seems to be easy.
Seems to be easy, yes, to stay put because you're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can miss out, particularly, when I first heard, particularly when you are being led by God, and you can be stubborn and not move at the right time. And, we said, get behind me, Satan, because we don't want to just hear the voice of God because we're comfortable with where we are. That's easy to do. And I like to compare it to eagles, because if I had to be a bird, I would be an eagle. And the eagles don't even allow their eaglets to get comfortable in the nest that they make. So they make it with thorns. So when they start moving around, they're uncomfortable. They're stuck here. I got to get out of here because they got to fly higher.
Absolutely. Well, we call that the eagle stirring in its nest. Mm-hmm. And where those thorns pop up, it makes it uncomfortable to stay where you are, because you'll never become the great master of the heights, if you will.
If
you stay where you are. That's a great old statement. I didn't make this up. I heard this from another person. Godly, probably close to 40, 50 years ago. The biggest hindrance to the next move of God is the last move of God.
Wow.
And so the biggest hindrance to progress is the success that you already had.
Wow.
And so if you want to get better, then the reality is you got to let something go. Mm-hmm. I don't care how good it's been.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Speak. I don't care how good it's been. If you want to progress, if you want to go with God, then the reality is you got to move. You got to be willing to let God move you on downstream. Water flows.
Right. Okay? Yeah. God, don't stand still.
And so that's the way we got it. We got to go with the flow. Okay. And the flow is going to bring you to another place. You're not going to stay where you are, no matter how no matter how comfortable you are, and that may require cutting loose from the anchor. Mm-hmm. Since we're using a water analogy here, then the old song says, "I want my anchor to hold."
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And sometimes God would say, "Yeah, put your anchor down here." Mm-hmm. Okay. But that doesn't mean you're gonna stay there forever. We think when we put the anchor down, we're gonna stay
That's
there
it.
forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need the anchor to weather the storms and all those things like that to stay where you are.
Mhm.
But eventually, God says, "Pull anchor up."
Mhm.
Yeah, pull the
Mhm.
anchor up,
Mhm.
and you got to go.
Yeah. You know, that analogy there, something that you did, I believe just saved my life because sickness ran rampant in my family, and it's because of the way we were eating, but because of some of the things that you put in place at New Horizon, right? That took me to one level, okay, which was the fasting, and I think I stopped eating the way my mom and dad and them did, and it just took me to another level. And then you put in place what we call a health Gill, right? And I call her Coach Ella J. Uh, she was over that, and it was another movement for me. And I think Sister Crudup, the first lady, contacted her and said, "Hey, uh, some of your people may be used to this." And then Ella thought of me, sent me the email. It's called Food for Life, right? Now, first of all, I had to let that anchor go with the food first, right? To be able to go downstream.
Right. Absolutely.
If I hadn't cut that anchor loose, right, then I wouldn't have been prepared for that next movement. And so when that next movement came, it was like, I'm so ready for this.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, I got an email the other day or yesterday said, want me to be the guest speaker in this online to all the new upcoming Food for Lifers and the old ones who may have gotten stuck and comfortable with the anchor. And so, but that movement, and I appreciate what you did starting New Horizon, and that's why I can be excited about your next move, simply because I know what you've done in the past, and the city. And I said this when this been finalized, and I tell people, the city is going to be better, the state is going to be better, the country is going to be better because God is moving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't be committed to prayer and not also be committed to change.
Wow.
Okay. So for all the prayer warriors,
Yeah, come on.
you can't be committed to progress without having a revelation of sacrifice.
Yes.
Okay. Because they all go together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sacrifice, prayer, progress all goes together. And so you got to let some things go, even though you're comfortable with them, even though they may taste good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real good.
Oh yeah. The biggest hindrance of folks around food is taste.
Yes.
And so um, and so God really, it's a revelation. I mean, of course, fasting is in Scripture anyway. But to take that to another level in terms of that and utilize people that are already there, as a part of that revelation from God, because God didn't even want His church once again to stay to or become stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And here's one, and boy, some folks ain't gonna like this, but it's because the church ought to always be progressing. I go to churches sometimes, and maybe I hadn't been there 30 years, and I go there, and they sing the same song.
I knew.
Okay, they sing the same song.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that songs from 30 years or 40 or 50 years aren't good. They are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I enjoyed them because some of them songs I ain't heard
Heard
in
a
30
long
years.
time. Right.
Long time. But if that's all you singing,
Yeah.
okay, and you wondering why you're losing people,
Right.
because people understand you're stuck.
Yes.
You're not willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so people want to be a part of places that are lively,
Yeah.
that are flowing, that are growing, okay, that are going to help their children get better and all of these
Right.
things. And so even the church has to change. So within the things that we're doing, okay, even the main things we're doing, music,
Mm-hmm.
okay, prayer, all of
Mm-hmm.
those things all around all of those things, there are components of things that God can help us see things, how we
Mm-hmm.
can make things better, how we can create change that empowers people even more. And so, we saw fasting and decided to do it. Man, you want to talk about something that was uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and then we determined to do it two big church fasts twice a year in January and July.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but those became some of the most tremendous things that we still do.
Yes.
And I tell people it ain't coincidence of the miraculous things that happens in January and July, particularly because when you make a commitment, because even the scripture says some things only happen by prayer and fasting,
Right.
okay? Then once again, and what is fast? It's sacrifice, okay? With an insight that something needs to change.
Yes.
Some door needs to come open that's not open. Something needs to be moved. Some anchor needs to be cut. And wow, the change that occurs out of it.
Bishop, I usually remember things based on how I process it in my head. So I call the fast my was factor. And here's what I mean by the was, those initial WAS was because I found out when I fast, I weaken the flesh and strengthen the spirit.
Glory.
And so that's where I was.
Mhm.
Now moving forward, because the flesh is in the same way with eating. You were mentioning the old music in some of the church. Well, I met people who, oh my God, they hadn't changed. They saying the same thing that they were saying 50 years ago,
Yeah.
right? And when you were mentioning that, I was thinking sometimes we gotta put some new food, some live food into a live body. You can't keep putting dead food into a live
Wow.
body
Wow.
and expect
Wow.
to feel alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What a great picture.
Yeah,
What a truth.
absolutely.
What a truth. Because we all know that's true. Because we are all suffering with it.
Right.
Okay. And uh, I mean, health is about what you eat.
Absolutely.
Okay. And pharmaceutical companies,
Oh,
I mean, there are economies besides from pharmaceuticals. There are tremendous economies are built in this country and this world
yeah. Mhm.
related to what we eat and how we deal with what we eat. Um, and so, because in different places, particularly for folks who travel internationally, and you have, and I have, and
Mhm.
things like this, in some places internationally, uh, you may be eating that chicken here. They eating chicken
Mhm.
in Africa and all these other places too. That may be a revelation to some folks. They got chicken in Africa.
Yeah.
They got chicken everywhere. They eating that chicken, but that chicken in Africa ain't got all them hormones
Right.
and other chemicals that they pumping in him over here.
Right. Because
There's
they
a
don't
reason why.
allow it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they don't lie. It's a reason why that bird gets so big over
So
here
fast.
so
Yeah.
fast because he's been shot up. He's been doped up with stuff. And of course, if you eat his flesh, guess what? You're gonna get what he's got inside of him. And so,
Bishop, that's see now that don't skip over that. See, that's what we fail to understand. Whatever is inside of them, whatever you're eating, okay,
yeah,
whatever is inside of them, you're putting it inside of yourself.
absolutely,
You're eating what they ate,
yeah.
what they were injected.
Mm-hmm.
That those are just some things that we don't even think about, right? Yeah.
I was so I take some medications, okay,
Mhm.
and so I was sitting there just thinking about the fact how powerful this really little bitty pill is.
Mhm.
I'm taking, okay,
Mhm.
that milligrams,
Yeah.
not a gram,
Mhm.
milligrams, okay. Um, I was thinking about a shot in not in being inoculated.
Mhm.
That they'll take that little thing, that little syringe, and real thin.
Mm-hmm.
Stick it in your body and shoot just a little bit of something in there and change your whole life.
That is that just that little bit of peel, and we're gonna take a break, and then I'm gonna come back and talk about that little bit of food,
Yeah.
just like that little bit of peel. We'll be right back. Thank you. We with the Bishop Ronnie Crudup Senior, WMPR 90.1. We'll be right back on the other side of the hour.
Music for the mind, body, and spirit. Great gospel music on WMPR 90.1 FM. 90.1 FM. The future in great health today.
Good one, Charles.
Yeah.
You play that when you go places. When you start off, you ought to be starting that everywhere you go. You ought to be playing that first.
Yeah.
Because people remember music.
Oh yeah. Music is universal.
The future in great health today. Every day, responsible self. Where the fighters. The future in great health. Music for the mind, body, and spirit. Great gospel music on WMPR.
The future in great health today, every day, responsible self. We are the fighters. That's what fighter stands for. Future in great health today, every day, responsible self. You got to be fighting for your health, guys. I got my fighter's cup. Listen, this part of the show, we call it Who Am I? Okay. And here's what we do. I name the benefits of a food, and then you tell me what food I'm talking about. So, who am I? This one is I am amazing. I have health benefits. One, I'm a hydration booster. I'm 92% water to keep you refreshed and energized. I am a heart helper packed with lycopenes and citrulline to support healthy blood pressure. What food am I? I will have your skin glowing because I provide vitamin A and vitamin C to help your skin stay smooth and youthful. Come on now, y'all want to know what food I am. I have the ability to offer your bone strength. So I strengthen your bone with the lycopene and the potassium and promote healthy, strong bones. I also provide eye support. I am rich in beta carotene for clear, healthy vision. Get this, guys. You really want this food. I am a brain booster. Antioxidant and hydration help improve focus and clarity. Bishop, when you make changes, you need to have some clarity. You need to be focused. I am a muscle recovery. Central lines help reduce soreness after a workout. Let me get this one now. This is good. I fight inflammation. Wow. Antioxidant reduces your risk of chronic illnesses. I aid in your digestion system with the water content and the fiber that I have. I support you regularly with health digestion. Last one. I am weight friendly. Hello. I am low in calories and naturally sweet. Perfect guilt-free snack. Who am I? Marcus said carrot. No, Marcus, sorry about that. I'm 92% water. Hey, what was that?
Watermelon.
Watermelon is it, man. That is it. I am watermelon, one of my favorite fruits, guys. And Bishop, at the end of our conversation, you were saying the power of a little peel, milligrams, and the power of a shot, but just the power of food.
A grain of mustard seed.
A grain. Wow, there it is.
What
the word.
Scripture says, just a mustard seed, just a
A
little bit,
little bit,
just a little bit.
Yes.
And all change happens over time, a little bit now,
little
a little bit
yes.
more, and pretty soon you'll have this thing down. When I was coming here this morning, I passed a lady who was walking. Okay, she's a little heavy. Okay, but I sat there and I said, "Look at her great self."
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because she's up once again 6-something in the morning.
Yeah.
She's out there walking.
Making some change.
Yeah. In a month from now, it's gonna be less of her.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen other folk in my neighborhood. You know, you watch folks.
Yes, I've seen them in the gym. I know exactly what you said.
Who they come in struggling, ain't breathing good, can't half walk,
right,
hurting,
right.
But they make a commitment.
That sacrifice.
They empower themselves.
Yeah.
Now they empower themselves, okay, in their mind first. All right. Everything happens mentally first, then in the physical.
Yes.
And they start walking. Now you and I like to run,
right?
Cycle. You ain't got to run and cycle.
No.
You just start.
Walking. Just moving.
Oh yeah. And this stuff will start melting off, and you'll have so much victory in it that then too, that's gonna make you start being conscious of other things. Gonna make you conscious of what you're eating.
Absolutely.
All of it goes together, and you're gonna start feeling better.
That's the key right there.
All right. And that's what happened to you 26 years ago.
Yes.
You already knew the history of your family, of how many folks that were dying or having amputations or, just all these diseases. And you decided, you know what? I need to change something.
Yes.
You went on that fast, and in the midst of that fast, you found out, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then you start feeling better.
All you need.
And here's a Charles Smith point. You start having more energy.
Oh, that was key.
Because Charles was always chasing
energy.
Because he was a salesman in life, okay? Still a salesman, okay? But, so he had to get out there and get it. And so he was looking for this and that. I remember when you used to drink all them shots and all that.
Yeah, man. I was switching drink change. I was seeking.
And found out you get more energy by giving up stuff, by sacrificing stuff and drinking water than you do by all of this other stuff. And you made a decision. I ain't going back.
And Bishop, and you're taking me back because you're 100% right. Because I remember the first year I did, man, I wouldn't even drink 100% orange. If it wasn't water, I wasn't drinking it, because I had so much energy on that. Because it was a struggle for me to give up that boost. Because I was like, Lord, now I can't do this fast because I got to have my energy. And I mean, the other folk at the church, they don't need no energy. They're just sitting at the desk. They're doing this, right? And God spoke to me clearly. I give you more of what you're looking for in abundance if you be obedient. And this is where that was factor came in. Okay. I didn't even, at the time they called the boost drink, man. I would take one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, man. I was
caffeine and all.
Oh my goodness. And it was like all temporary. And man, was he true to his word. When you give up, you gain. Which brings us to how you can do what you do, give up a position because, my goodness, you know what God has in store for you.
Well, you talked about the fact of my past life, particularly way back. I used to work for a lot of folks, and I used to work for South Central Bell, AT&T, which was a great career at that time. And I thank God for that time. But that and other things have brought me to the place where I understand the power of change and how wonderful change is. Because um, I had the part of my life first is growing up in Jackson, Mississippi, in part of town in the linear area. Okay, 833.
I knew that was coming.
Over in Georgetown. I mean, I saw change. You know what I mean? I saw change. What my parents were doing, I saw change. I wanted to change. I mean, life. A second class citizenship that we had as African American folks. Once again, said, "Hey, I want to change. I want to change. I want to see things change for ourselves."
Right.
And so, education was a vehicle for that. And so I had the privilege of leaving Lanier and prepared and going to Hines Community College. In 1970. Wow, you want to talk about a different environment at that particular point. And from there, got an opportunity also to go to work for the phone company. Okay. But to do that, I had to be willing to leave home.
Right.
Okay. Because I ended up having to go to Mendenhall, Mississippi, which was a whole different world.
Right.
Even though it's 35 miles away,
right.
But it was 35 miles in a whole different world.
Yes.
That I grew up in. But you have to sacrifice something, okay, to be able to do that. And so all of that was conditioning me to understand, change and how powerful change was. And so in 1973, I got the wonderful privilege of going to work for the telephone company, being one of the first African Americans hired in Mendenhall, Mississippi. And that, hey, it changed my life. I had to deal with people in a way I'd never dealt with people before, particularly white people. Okay. I ain't never been called the N-word so much as I was back at that time. But and got to the place where, at the top of that career, making more money. Charles, I was making more money than a whole lot of folks still making now. I mean, come on, that's how many years ago has that been? I mean, it was a wonderful job. But God also told me in the midst of that, you're going to have to sacrifice this wonderful job I gave you. Okay? Not that I had, He gave me.
Yes.
Because He also called me to go in ministry. He said, you're going to go into ministry full time. And, I said, Lord, why can't you do like everybody else? They stay working
Right.
the whole career. They didn't do that.
Right.
I want you to do it different. Not that that's some folks I give that to, but I want you to do it different. If you want to have the full share of this, if you want to get all I've got for you, then you're going to have to make the sacrifice. And so I made the sacrifice to leave, lost money, lost a lot of money. Okay. To go to work for the phone company. I'm sorry, to go to work for
full-time ministry.
And actually, it's interesting because my wife at that same time left and we had our second child. $50,000 disappeared in my household. Following God.
Wow.
Yeah. So people talk about money. I understand sacrifice. Okay. But God told me, listen, if you'll do what I told you to do, I guarantee you never have anything cut off at your house. If there's something that's a particular need, I'll open the door for it. And everything you sacrifice for me, I will give back to you. Now, one of the things He had me do too is before I came to that, God told me 2 years before, He said, get yourself out of debt. Now, that's a good one for folks.
Yeah.
He said, get yourself out of debt. He said, because you can't do what I want you to do in debt. And so I got myself out of debt. The only thing I had that, quote, technically could be considered debt was a house note. Okay. I paid my car off, that I had at that point. Of course I had monthly bills, but the monthly bills and that house note were the only things that I had, that created some level of indebtedness, and technically you don't even consider that debt because those things appreciate. But it allowed me to keep the quote standard of living where I was, the little money the church was paying me. I was called to be pastor of Mount Galilee Missionary Baptist Church here in Jackson. Wow, what a wonderful place. Great memories. But when I first got there as pastor, it was starvation wait. And so, but God told me how much money they asked him for. And he told me they was going to scream and holler and say, we ain't never paid a fool that kind of money. And he said, but eventually they're going to do it. And when I told him what God told me in terms of the amount of money, which was actually back then was $16,000. Okay. Right. So I ain't talking about no lot of money.
Right.
They screamed and hollered. Okay? But then they eventually did it. And I lived on $16,000. Once again, where I was making about altogether about $70,000
wow.
for that. Okay. But God was faithful, man. And I would not be where I am today without that sacrifice, without those decisions, okay? Without that experience in God of what he will do for you, okay? And so when God came to me and said, you're going to give this wonderful position you got up at New Horizon Church as the senior pastor, okay, of the church, then even though that was tough, I got to do what God tells me to do. Yeah. He's proven, because he says,
he has a track record.
He says, what better
is coming.
Coming.
Sure.
Okay. But to get there, you got to make a sacrifice. Got to make a sacrifice. And so, and that's what brings change. And so people out there, if you want better in your health, you got to make a sacrifice. If you want better in your money, you got to make a sacrifice. If you want better in whatever it is in life, if you make that sacrifice, then change will come and will be a great, great blessing. Let me throw this in and let you talk on this point. I'm dealing with some young guys, my grandson and others who, I love them. They're world class, and they got a lot of ideas. They got a lot of passion. I like that because you're a salesman. You know that people buy passion. Okay?
Yes.
But I've also been talking to them that it takes two things to really bring success. Passion is one of them, but passion alone won't bring you success.
Right.
In fact, you can be passionately poor.
Yes.
So what's the second thing? Discipline. Passion and discipline together will bring you tremendous success. Yes. All right. And so for folks out there, you got to start disciplining yourself. Fasting is about discipline.
Absolutely.
It's teaching you a discipline.
Yes.
It's teaching you can give up things. You can do this. You can hold out. You can let chicken go for a month. Okay. You cannot drink that soda.
Right.
If the truth be told, you don't need to drink sodas anyway.
Right.
You can give up things, the sweets and all these other things. You can give up things. You can, fasting teaches you, because fasting will say you can't never again drink a soda. But if you drinking 3, 4, 5 sodas a day, fasting may say, hey, drink a few a week. Cut it back. Hey, if you're sitting down and you eating 2 helpings of the stuff, cut back to 1. You know what I mean?
That's that discipline that you're talking about now.
Stuff, okay? And when you do, it's going to work. I told you about the lady I saw out there. If she keeps walking, that's discipline, right?
Yes.
Even though some mornings she ain't gonna feel like it.
Right.
The devil's gonna tell her some mornings, you ain't gonna feel good in the morning.
Right.
I tell folks, the devil tell you Wednesday, by the way, you ain't gonna feel good Sunday, so you don't need to go to church.
Now you talking about my auntie now, because they used to say, I don't think I'm gonna feel like going to church. So it's Tuesday, ain't DC.
Absolutely. But you can do it. If you'll get on out there and walk, hey, change is coming, and you're going to be pleased and proud. And everybody else is going to be proud of you. You're going to start getting good comments. Oh, look at you. Oh, you losing weight. You doing this and that. And remember, folks, our enemy is weight.
Yes, it really is, Bishop. And you hit on several good points. But I want to piggyback on one of them. You mentioned your discipline and different portions of food, and we drinking 4 or 5 drinks. And I used to say, because I was with my mom on kidney dialysis 3 times a week, and I saw what the machine could do to operate like a kidney, but it couldn't take the place of a kidney.
Right.
And nobody was running to my mama saying, "Hey, Cora, I'm gonna give you one of mine. So you better take care of your own." And I used to say my mom kidneys failed her up until about 2-3 years ago. And then I realized my mama kidneys didn't fail her. She failed them. Now she didn't realize it.
No, she didn't intentionally do
No.
that. Right.
But when we don't have food education, I always said we had more food education, we'll be on less medication, right?
Oh, man, that's
Yeah,
great
yeah.
stuff.
And so drinking all those Cokes, no discipline. Now here's the thing, and you mentioned it, and it just popped in my head. In the beginning, you develop habits, but in the end, habits develop you. You now are going on just what you used to do because you don't have no discipline.
Tradition.
And they got you, right?
Mhm.
And I look at it, you mentioned earlier about the pharmaceutical industry, but I look at I call them PDF, which is pharmaceutical industry, the diet industry, and the food industry.
Yeah.
Okay, those are huge, and they're playing on each other. You know, there is only so many people that they can market to food industry.
Right.
And so it comes to a point where you as a customer, they got to get you eating more food because, they run out of customers. So what they do, they want their current customers to eat more. So what they may put more sugar in, that'll get you, and they'll take more nutrition out. That'll get you because you're not going to feel full without the nutrients.
Oh, yeah.
You see, if you don't have the nutrients in your body, I tell people all the time, Bishop, I don't care if you give your body the nutrients that it needs or not. It still needs them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
you didn't create those kidneys.
Yeah.
And the kidney needs nutrients. So you can say, I'm a meat and potato guy. Okay, fine. But your body needs the fiber from fruits, the nutrients from vegetables,
Absolutely.
whether you give it to it or not. And if you don't, this is how you end up with a deficiency. And when you have a deficiency, now you got to get some pharmaceutical treatment, right? Back to the PDF.
Because the deficiency is destroying
Absolutely.
something inside of you, little by little.
Little by little.
Until eventually it manifests itself.
Absolutely.
In a really terrible way. We got a lot of problems, okay, in this country, in our lives around, once again, what we eat and all of this. But we didn't get that by ourselves.
Right. Oh, I tell people like that.
We've got industries that have been built around your addiction. Okay. Now, all addiction ain't crack cocaine and meth and all that kind of stuff.
This is best sermon you've ever preached right here. This is good.
Addiction is sugar.
That's it. And we don't even realize it.
Yeah, and sugar, a demon.
They'll put it in there because they know you love it.
As well as caffeine and just all these other things, all these other chemicals we talked about. There's a restaurant in the Metro Jackson area that every now and then I go by there. And boy, the place is booming. They are selling food going, and it's good.
Yes.
You know why? They got sugar in everything.
Yeah.
There's sugar in the greens.
Yeah.
They add sugar, a little bit of sugar, this and that. Because what do they recognize? We addicted to sugar, man.
Feeding your addiction.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what is happening with these industries is they've gotten us addicted. The pharmaceuticals, the diet folks, the food folks, they all push us.
Yes.
Remember that old song, The Pusher Man?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going way back now.
But
Freddie is dead.
Yes. But that is so it. They're pushing it.
Yeah.
And we're buying.
Oh, absolutely. And ain't nobody talking about how awful that is.
No.
And we got all these overweight children and all these other things like that, which is criminal.
Wow.
Okay. And we killing ourselves by what we eat. And that's why I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud first of the change that you decided to make. You made yourself powerful. Okay. And you change yourself. And as God always does it, when you become a better example, he'll move you to another place.
Now, won't he do it?
and let you take your misery, what used to be misery, and give you a message.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow. Yeah.
Your mess, okay, will become your message.
Wow.
And you can build an economy around it, a livelihood. Because you're not just out there now, just talking about this. The Lord has opened up doors where now you're making a living out of this good stuff that you're doing. And so I say that for everybody else out there, whatever your circumstance is, if you're out there way overweight, hey, you can change your circumstance and make a living out of what used to be your misery.
Wow. That's great, Bishop. And this is just part one. We got to do a part two. And on that note, I will be at the City of Gluckstadt Mayor Health Council will be hosting a health fair at St. Joseph on July 10th, beginning at 9, lasting to 2. And I've been invited to do a cooking demonstration for those good people up in the Gluckstadt area. So hopefully you will join me. And I do appreciate all of you who follow me at these different places and tell me that you heard us on the radio and you're here because of what we're about. We're thankful for that.
We got a new mayor in town, John Horn. I got to throw that in.
Throw that in,
Bishop. Part of that in. At 10 o'clock today in front of the 2 Museum. He's going to be there meeting and greeting folks. Hey, come down, light refreshments. Him and his senior staff of the city.
Good.
It's a new day in Jackson, Mississippi.
And with Bishop changing lanes, being promoted by God, I am excited about what God has for you, Bishop, because I've seen him move before in you. And not just when he moves in you, then there are changes other people's gonna be making too. Because that's just the way he operates. When you're called, you can't retire from a calling. Just saying that. Well, thank you for being a part of WMPR 90.1. Hopefully we brought you some information that you can grab on the run that'll make a difference in your life for the rest of your life. We're always excited that you're here every Thursday morning, 7 a.m. to 8 during drive time. The best time to be on WMPR, listening to My Help, My Mississippi. Can we get our theme song, Marcus? I love that music, man.
Bye-bye, folks.
See y'all next week with part 2.